Imagine waking up one morning and everything has changed. The familiar comfort of your home feels different, as if the world outside your window has shifted overnight. The air is heavy with uncertainty, and you sense that nothing will ever be quite the same again. For millions of Americans in the 1930s, that was reality. The Great Depression swept across the country like a storm, touching every city, every town, and every family, no matter how secure they once felt. The stock market crash felt distant until local banks closed and life savings vanished overnight. Suddenly the safety nets people relied on were gone and the future became a frightening unknown. Suddenly, families had nothing but the change in their pockets and a sense of dread. Parents worried about how to feed their children, and every penny was counted and recounted, hoping it would somehow stretch a little further. Jobs disappeared as factories shut down. Once busy workplaces fell silent, and the hum of industry faded from the towns that depended on them. 1 in 4 people couldn't find work. Unemployment lines stretched for blocks, filled with men and women desperate for any opportunity, no matter how small. The world they knew collapsed, and security vanished. Families lost their homes, and neighborhoods emptied out as people searched for hope elsewhere. Buying groceries became a source of anxiety. Shelves were bare, prices soared, and ration books became a lifeline for many households. Proud, hard-working people now stood in breadlines, relying on charity just to eat. The shame of asking for help was real, but hunger left little choice. Daily life was upended. No milkmen, no icemen, no small luxuries. Even the routines that once brought comfort disappeared, replaced by uncertainty and worry. The future looked bleak, but people were tough. They faced each day with determination, refusing to let despair win. Waiting for things to get better wasn't an option. They had to act. Communities came together, sharing what little they had, and finding creative ways to survive. They leaned on their own ingenuity, their neighbors, and a stubborn refusal to give up. People bartered, traded, and helped each other through the hardest days. Families scrambled to survive, finding new ways to get by. Children learned to help in the garden, mothers mended clothes, and fathers took on any odd job they could find. Even simple pleasures became rare, but hope persisted. Laughter around the dinner table, a homemade toy, or a neighbor's kindness became treasures. People learned to adapt, to share, and to make do. They swapped recipes, exchanged goods, and found comfort in community meals. The crisis forced a new kind of resilience. It taught people to endure, to innovate, and to never lose sight of hope, even in the darkest times. Communities pulled together, finding strength in each other. The bonds formed during these years would last a lifetime, shaping the character of a generation. The Great Depression changed America forever, but it also revealed the power of ordinary people to endure, to adapt, and to build hope from hardship. In Detroit, the auto industry's collapse left thousands hungry. Mayor Frank Murphy saw vacant land and struggling families, and connected the dots. The city launched thrift gardens, giving families plots, seeds, and tools to grow their own food. This wasn't charity, it was empowerment. People worked their own gardens, regaining purpose and control. By 1932, tens of thousands of families grew potatoes, beans, and cabbages, millions of pounds of food. The idea spread nationwide. Relief gardens popped up in backyards, empty lots, even window boxes. People rediscovered the skill of feeding themselves. Security came from a seed, a patch of dirt, and hard work. The thrift gardens movement proved that with a little land and determination, communities could fight hunger together. It was a quiet revolution, one vegetable at a time. When money is tight, you see value in everything, including flour sacks. During the Depression, families turned sturdy cotton sacks from flour and feed into clothing, towels, and more. Mothers washed, bleached, and sewed the fabric into dresses for their children. Companies noticed and began printing sacks with colorful patterns, even including doll patterns. Buying flour became a strategic choice. Families picked sacks for their next sewing project. It was clever marketing, but also a lifeline for families. These flour sack dresses became a badge of resourcefulness and pride. Companies adapted, making homemakers' jobs easier and helping families clothe themselves with dignity. Even in hardship, creativity and resilience turned necessity into something beautiful. With banks closed and cash scarce, people revived the age-old system of barter. Eggs for a doctor's visit, canned peaches for car repairs, skills and goods became currency. Organized barter networks or self-help cooperatives sprang up in communities. People brought what they had, vegetables, furniture, mended shoes, and traded for what they needed. This system valued real skills and tangible goods over shrinking dollars. Bartering restored a sense of worth to those without jobs. It strengthened local bonds. Trust and cooperation were essential. The barter economy couldn't solve everything, but it kept communities afloat. It reminded everyone that money is just a tool. Real value comes from people and what they can do. In tough times, neighbors became each other's safety net. The Depression taught that community and resourcefulness matter more than cash. During the Great Depression, meat was a rare luxury for most families. With money tight and store shelves often empty, people had to get creative just to put protein on the table. That's when the idea of the pig club was born. Neighbors would pool their limited resources to buy a piglet or sometimes a calf, sharing both the costs and the responsibilities that came with raising it. Each family played a part. Some took on the task of building sturdy pens, while others gathered kitchen scraps and leftovers to feed the animal, making sure nothing went to waste. Even the children got involved, learning responsibility as they helped care for the animal. It truly became a community project with everyone pitching in. When the animal was finally grown, butchering day brought everyone together. It was hard work, but also a moment of shared accomplishment and relief. The meat, fat, and bones were carefully divided among all the families. Nothing was wasted. Every part was used, from the roasts to the soup bones. Families then preserved their share for the long winter months ahead, using methods like salting, smoking, or canning to make sure the food would last. Pig clubs didn't just provide food, they spread out the risk, the labor, and the reward. By working together, everyone had a better chance of getting enough protein to stay healthy. If one family fell on hard times or couldn't do their share, others stepped in to help, knowing that someday the favor would be returned. It was a safety net built from trust. These clubs were a kind of practical insurance, grounded in cooperation and mutual support, rather than money or contracts. In the end, pig clubs were about more than just food. They taught valuable lessons in self-sufficiency, teamwork, and the power of community solidarity. By working side by side, these communities made sure that even in the hardest times, no one was left to go hungry. Depression-era meals were simple, filling, and smart. Housewives mastered stretching cheap staples, potatoes, beans, cabbage, into hearty meals. Leftovers were transformed, never wasted. A little meat flavored a big stew, stale bread became pudding or soup thickener. Dishes like Hoover stew, macaroni, hot dogs, canned tomatoes were born of necessity. Foraging and scratch cooking were essential. Wild greens and berries supplemented diets. Home canning turned garden harvests into edible insurance for winter. People ate what was in season, with little processed food or sugar. The forced diet was heavy on vegetables and whole grains, surprisingly healthy by today's standards. Hard times demanded creativity and thrift in the kitchen, and these habits built resilience and, in many ways, improved health. The Depression taught that good food doesn't have to be fancy, just resourceful. Making do became a way of life. When institutions failed, people turned to each other. The Depression pulled communities closer. Neighbors shared food, money, tools, and childcare. Small acts of kindness created a safety net where none existed. Entertainment became communal potlucks, porch gatherings, music, and games. These simple joys brought hope and normalcy amid hardship. Knowing you weren't alone made the struggle bearable. The real wealth was in relationships, not bank accounts. The era's greatest lesson: resilience grows from community. Together, people endured, and even found joy. Strangely, life expectancy rose during the worst years of the Depression. How? Diets shifted to more beans, vegetables, and whole grains, less red meat and sugar. People ate less overall, cutting calories and processed foods. Physical activity increased. Walking, biking, gardening, and manual chores replaced modern conveniences. Cleaner air from fewer cars and factories meant fewer respiratory illnesses. Workplace accidents dropped as dangerous jobs disappeared. Stress was high, but some physical risks declined. The forced lifestyle, less food, more movement, cleaner air, had unexpected health benefits. The data is clear. Hardship led to healthier habits. Sometimes, resilience and adaptation bring surprising rewards. The Depression's challenges accidentally created a recipe for longer lives. Adversity, it turns out, can be the best teacher. What can we learn from the Depression generation? Their lives were shaped by hardship, but also by remarkable ingenuity and a deep sense of togetherness. In a world that often felt uncertain, they found ways to adapt, survive, and even thrive. They survived with practical skills, common sense, and strong community. These weren't just nice-to-haves, they were essential tools for daily life. Their resourcefulness helped them stretch every dollar and make the most of what they had. Start by reducing reliance on complex systems. Learn to cook, grow a little food, fix things yourself. Even small steps like baking bread or mending clothes can make a big difference over time. Build real relationships with neighbors. These connections can become lifelines in tough times. A friendly conversation or a helping hand can turn strangers into friends. Know their skills and share yours. Host a potluck, swap recipes, or trade homemade goods. When everyone contributes, the whole community grows stronger. Lend a hand. Community is your best insurance. When you help others, you build trust and create a safety net that benefits everyone. Embrace a waste not, want not mindset. Repair what you can, reuse what you have, and avoid unnecessary waste. Repurpose and save. Old jars become storage, worn clothes become quilts, and every little bit saved adds up over time. Even a small emergency fund brings peace of mind. Setting aside a little each week can help you weather unexpected storms. Cultivate resilience. Focus on what you can control, like your skills, your habits, and your attitude. Small, steady efforts build confidence and independence. Find joy in simple things, and help others. Shared laughter, a home-cooked meal, or a kind gesture can brighten even the hardest days. Choose to be a producer, not just a consumer. Build community, not isolation. When we work together, we create something greater than ourselves. The Depression taught that true security comes from what you can do, and who you can count on. The lessons are timeless: resourcefulness, adaptability, and the willingness to help one another. Generosity and hope. These values carried people through the hardest times, and they can guide us now. That's how we build a resilient future. Together. By learning from the past, supporting each other, and choosing hope, we can face whatever comes next.